Shalom Aleichem. And we learn the Sikha Vayera Beis. Ala Pasuk, on the Pasuk, it's a Rashi Sikha. On the Pasuk Vayigash Avram, this is after Avram finds out that he's going to have a baby in Mirz Hashem, but now he's coming and approaching the Eibishter about the destruction of Sodom. And Avram says, Ha'af Tisba, you're really going to destroy all the good people, etc. Says Rashi at the words Vayigash Avram. Matzinu, we find throughout the Tanakh, Hagasha le'milchama, we find Vayigash when it comes to war, as we see Yoav coming to war in Shmuel Beis. We find Vayigash to calm things down, in other words, to be mafayis, to make peace, to calm anger. And that's what we see with Yehuda approaching Yosef. And we see approach for davening, Vayigash Eliyahu Hanavi comes and approach, and it's a story, I believe, when he comes and asks on Mount Carmel, he asks Hashem for help. So Avram Avinu comes in with all three, ledaber kashas, to talk tough, lepius, to calm things down, letfila, and to daven. Now, says the Rebbe, the simple reading of Rashi, he's coming to explain, because we see in the Psukim after that Avram Avinu spoke difficult, hard stuff, then divrei pius, and then davening. So he's coming to say that you find that all with the word Vayigash throughout Tanakh. Says the Rebbe like this. The word Vayigash is a common word. It's not unusual. Why do you have to explain it? Most times Rashi doesn't explain it. 2, why Vayigash Avram? What does that have to do with the fact that Avram came? Just if you're trying to explain the word Vayigash, explain Vayigash. Why is Avram in the Dibra Maschil? 3, why at the end does Rashi have to come and say, L'chol Eilan, to all these three, Avram came to speak, these three? Obviously, I'll continue reading the Psukim, I'll see that. 4, Rashi brings a proof from different places in Tanakh. But you don't have to bring proof. You just show me, I'll read the continue of the text, and I'll see if all three things happen over here within the Vayigash. Just like when it says regarding Vayishlach, about Yaakov Avinu, he prepared himself for all three, and he doesn't have to bring proofs within the word. That's all three: ledoydoin, gifts, davening, and milchama. And even if you're going to say that for whatever reason Rashi had to explain that Vayigash is to all three things, he should bring it as a raya as an addition at the end. But first and foremost, talk about the context within us. Look, that Yaakov is going to be doing, Avram is going to be doing these three things, and proof that Vayigash is. But why first the proofs? What's he trying to say? And says that on the other hand, Rashi does not explain where he has to explain. Later on in the Psukim pointed out, this is the Piyus, and this is the Melchama, and this is the Dibur Kashas. Just like what we see by Yaakov, he points out, this is the Doidain, this is the Tefillah, and this is the Melchama. And then the Rebbe brings in number 6, the question of the Sifsei Chachamim. How could you say that when Yehuda came to talk to Yosef, it was Divrei Piyus, calm things down? A minute later, Rashi says, Val Yichar Abcha, on the words, when Yehuda tells Yosef, don't get too angry, Mikan, from here you learn that Dibidil of Kashas. They spoke hard. So did he speak hard or Piyus? On the other hand, if over here Rashi is saying that it was Piyus, then why over there in Parshas Vayigash he doesn't say it was Piyus? He over there only mentions that it was Kashas. Either mention nothing or mention both, or mention what's the theme? And also, why in the Dibra Maschil, in the Pasuk, it says Vayigash, and when Rashi refers to it, he says, L'chol Eilan, for all these Nichnas Avram went in. Why don't you say L'chol Eilan, Nigash Avram? Just like the word. Why are you changing the word? Says the Rebbe to explain all this. Right before it says Vayigash Avram, it says V'Avram oimed oidenu oimed lifnei Hashem. Avram is still standing. After Hashem spoke to him about the promise of child, he's still standing. So what do you know? You know that he's standing in front of Hashem. And then it says Vayigash Avram. So where's he going? And it's not that Hashem. He's walking a step closer to Hashem. Hashem is everywhere. So you have to say that it was and more than that, not only is Hashem everywhere, but you're in the middle of a conversation with him. So it was a mental, a ruchnistik. In other words, it wasn't a physical movement to get closer. It was a mental headspace. He changes his headspace from one to the other. And that's what comes Rashi and says, that before even he comes to talk to Hashem, before he starts talking, He already entered with an attitude. Before you give a drasha, you know what a perspective you're going in. Over here, you know what's going in. And because the main intention is that for all these things is the way Avram walked into the headspace, therefore we use the word nichnas. Not that he spoke that way. That's obvious, because you could see it in the text. But lechatchila he walked in this way. So therefore I don't have to bring proof. I can't bring proofs later on from the psukim, because all the psukim tell me that that's the way he spoke. But I don't know that that's the way he entered, that was the headspace he walked into. This tells me that. Gimel. But because you don't have any raya from the psukim that this is how he walked in, so how do you know that Itaka walked in? Maybe he only walked in to talk tough. Maybe he only walked in for anything else. Says Rashi, Vayigash Avraham, and then explains why. Because the Torah says the words Gisha, Vayigash, and it can't be space. So it has to mean in a kind of headspace. Now, it can't mean that he came Dibur Love Kashas, because that's immediately after. So I know that he walked in with that headspace. So you have to add me something. And that is the other things that come on later, Pius and Milchama, which are not immediate in the words, but Rashi says that the Chiddush of Vayigash Avdam is they came in with the theme. And this is also the difference between here and Vayigash Elav Yehuda. Over there, Vayigash Elav Yehuda means that literally he walked closer to talk to Yosef in confidence. Till now it was a conversation with all the Shvatim, and now it was a confidential. But Ozni, I want to talk in your ear. Says the Rebbe, but the fact that Rashi brings proof that over there Yehuda came with Pius is not because the Vayigash over here and Vayigash over there are similar. No, over there the Vayigash was taka physical headspace, a physical walk. But the goal was to calm him down. Over there, it wasn't that the Vayigash means the headspace was there. Over here, the Vayigash was taka to walk. But the intention of walking was to calm things down. But you could bring proof, the fact that the word Vayigash, even though it means walking, nevertheless, the intention was to calm things down. You could see that Vayigash can refer to calm things down. Whether it was he walked physically or he walked mentally, you see that Vayigash comes in the context of calming things down. Says the Rebbe, but over there, Rashi doesn't have to point out that Vayigash Elav Yehuda was Lepius, because it's understood. He says, Bi Adoini, my master. That's the first words. Just like over here, we wouldn't have to explain if it was only Dibur Elav Kashas. Those are the first words. Over there, he has to add, something changes. He comes Lepius, but he also comes Kashas. And that's a Chiddush, because a person to come with two opposite headspaces, that's the Chiddush. Comes the Rebbe and says, what could you learn in Chassidus from this? In Yenishal Torah, we know that Avdam is Chesed, Oyev, Avdam Oyavi. How could Avdam talk so tough? More than that, he starts off tough. But what's the first one? The first thing, from all three he walks in, Kashas. What's the explanation? Because Avdam is not Ava just because it's his nature, but because he believed that you serve the Eibishter through Chesed. L'kayim, that's an Hashem. So when it comes to save a soul, and there's already a Gzeira, and the Eibishter already sent Malachim to destroy Sodom, like it says, Hashem says, how am I going to cover away from Avram what I'm going to do? And we know from the beginning of the Parsha, Rashi says that one of the Malachim was sent to destroy Sodom. So then he has no choice. He has to demand to remove this Gzeira. As it says in the Maimer, in Tafresh Peites, from the Fidik Rebbe, Hemid Atzbei B'Sakona, he actually put himself in Sakona, L'Ispalel Alan Shistem V'Ameira. Avram Avinu doesn't care, he doesn't make any cheshbonos, he goes and talks even against his nature, talk to Hashem. And what's the lesson from here? If it's brought in Torah, it has to be a lesson that when it comes to save a Yid, the Gashmis of Beruchnius. Beruchnius, it means to bring a Yid close to the Eibishter. Don't think cheshbonos. Do your entire effort, even if it's against your nature, even if you have to talk tough, and do what's needed. So who cares if I'm not doing it with my whole intention? Whatever, I'm doing it. No, that's the way you come in. You come in with not only do you end up doing it that way, you come in with the intention that you're fully committed.